Okay, so Pious, nice one. Okay, so hi Pious.
Hi, Raymond.
How you doing?
I'm pretty good, and you?
I'm doing fine, thank you. So how's the going since we last met in our previous episode?
It has been going well. It has been going well. It has been quite a long time since we last met, but
Yeah,
so far
yeah.
things have been going on well.
Okay, nice one. So we are having quite a different experience. The last time it was physical, now we are having kind of a hybrid,
Mm.
virtual recording. So kind of mind briefly introducing yourself to our listeners and your viewers who inspire us. Where are you from? What do you do? Yeah, just to give them a context.
Okay. I am Pious Mannah. From the YMCA of Sierra Leone, and I
Mm.
work as a staff at the YMCA of Sierra Leone. I coordinate most of the youth issues from the National Secretariat, but I also serve as the education manager for YMCA Sierra Leone.
Okay, nice one. So I want us to talk something about the climate games
Mm-hmm.
and that are going on, and especially now that we're in the Africa Youth Month,
Mm-hmm.
November.
Mm-hmm.
And to start us off broadly, what exactly are climate games? Because I know you've been kind of directly involved in them. So maybe do you mind explaining to us briefly what the climate games are? Because we've already started doing some social media postings. We did something on the Sierra Leone. You have a game that will later on tell us what it is and it is about. So what are climate games for someone who's never heard of them? And maybe could you explain what these games are and what they aim to do?
Okay, thank you so much, Raymond. So these are two terms that you have used. First is climate, and the second is games. Well, let's look at games first of all.
Yeah.
So it's nothing different from the normal games that people know. This is
Mhm.
something that you play to give you excitement, to make you happy, to make you
Mm.
feel okay,
Mm.
entertaining. And you have climate, which is also what we call climate, which is the change in the day-to-day weather condition over a long period of time.
Yeah.
So we are blending these two. Climate games now talks about how do we use games to
Mm.
solve climate change issue. For so long, people have been used to this normal training, traditional training, where you go to a hall, you go to a classroom, and they pass information to you, which is sometimes very boring for some people because this is
Mm.
what they have been used to. But
Yeah.
now there is a new concept called gamification. That
Mm.
is where you use games to pass on a particular information. For
Yeah.
us, we are using games to pass on or raise awareness on climate change related topics. And that
Mm.
is what AAY as well is piloting all over. Now that we are talking about the Climate Games Month, it is a
Mm.
month where we are showcasing how young people around the African continent is using games to raise awareness or to solve issues around climate change.
Okay, nice one. So, and why games? I mean, climate games is a serious issue, and traditionally people take such serious issues
Mm.
through maybe things like workshops, lectures, campaigns, awareness.
Mhm.
So why approach it with game and play? And what is the advantage of using games to educate, especially the youth, because they know the major target you have is the youth. So what is the advantage of using games to engage the youth on these climate issues?
Thank you so much, Raymond, again. So, game is something that everybody likes. There is
Mm.
nobody that will tell you that he or she doesn't like games. He or she
Yeah.
might only tell you, I like this type of game or I don't like this particular category of game. But everybody
Yeah.
likes playing game. And at
Mm.
some point, everybody must have played a game. Nobody will tell you right through their journey, they have never played a game. Whether you're a small child, you are now a young adult, you're an adult, at some point you must have played a game. And
Yeah.
whether these are electronic games, they are video games, they are physical games, you must have
Mm.
played a game. So
Yeah.
everybody's interested in game. It just determines on the type of game that you're interested in. So
Yeah.
that is why now we say this is a point where it's a converging point for most young people. Everybody likes playing game. So how
Yeah.
can we now use what they like playing to pass the information that we want to pass? So it is
Okay.
us using what people like
Mm-hmm.
to also pass the information that we want to pass in a manner that they will appreciate.
Mm.
So if you hold a normal traditional session,
Mm.
after 1 hour, everybody is bored. But when you use games, you realize that people will be playing that game for 2 hours, 3 hours, 4 hours. They are not bored because it's exciting, it makes them happy, and they are smiling. So
Yeah.
now, if you use games to pass those information, they will be learning and they will never get bored. They would
Mm.
spend 5 hours, 6 hours playing that particular game, enjoying
Mm.
themselves, but at the same time learning without anybody
Yeah.
feeling bored or saying, oh, I want to go, I'm tired. So that is why
Yeah.
we say, can we use games to pass on the information that we want to pass, since it is
Mm.
something that is very interesting, something that is
Mm.
very welcoming by
Mm.
almost majority of young people that we have been dealing with.
Mm. Okay, so let us now zoom in more
Mhm.
into your movement, the Sierra
Mhm.
Leone, where you've been working directly with the young people to develop your own climate game. Uh, I'll give you the, do you call it the pleasure or the privilege of saying the name of the game that Sierra Leone currently is under development and testing. And
Okay.
I'd also love to briefly hear the story behind the game and how did the idea of the game come about?
Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you so much. So, like I told you, gamification is a relatively new concept in Sierra Leone.
Yeah.
And the name of our game, the game
Mm.
that we are piloting in Sierra Leone, is called Waste Hunt.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's a game that is geared towards passing information on climate change, but also on waste management.
Mm.
So, when YMCA was on the verge of developing and selling out this concept to national movement, we
Mm-hmm.
also had young people that went to Nairobi for about 2 weeks to
Yeah.
see how they can also have this knowledge about gamification. So
Mm.
after those sessions, after those meetings, they were charged with the responsibility of developing a particular game that they think they will come back to the national movement to implement. So they
Mm.
started the idea of the waste hunt, but it was not too clear. And they
Mm-hmm.
had to come back. Of course, they gave also training to staff, 2 weeks as well in
Mm.
Nairobi, on the same
Okay.
concept of gamification. So when
Uh-huh.
I came back as well, because I was part of that training, we
Mm.
sat together to say, hey, how can we watch again this game and how can we develop it? How can we ensure we have the first prototype?
Yeah.
So luckily, we also had some young people from Liberia that came into the house. We are having a leadership conference for them. So together
Uh-huh.
with them, we developed this climate waste game, this waste hunt game. So they
Mm.
contributed, and I don't want to discount that from them. And together
Uh,
with our young people, we
yeah.
now polish the idea to have the first prototype of what we
Mm.
call the waste hunt game today that we have been piloting.
Okay. Awesome.
Yeah,
So
thank you.
So waste hunt. Okay, that's an interesting concept and name. So waste why waste management is the focus? And was there something about the local context in Sierra Leone, say issues to do with trash in the community, or maybe waste disposal in Freetown that made the youth choose this theme?
Yeah, especially plastic waste. It's
Mm.
overwhelming,
Mm.
Raymond.
Yeah.
Waste management is a huge issue in
Mm.
the country and in fact in the capital city.
Mm.
And that most times causes a lot of flooding when we are in the rainy season. And
Mm.
because drainages are clogged, and these
Yeah.
drainages are not even, they are very small. So it's very difficult for the water runways. It's very difficult for water to pass through the runways. And
Mm.
oftentimes when we have heavy rains, how
Mhm.
there is flooding and flash flooding destroying a lot of properties, destroying
Mm.
also critical infrastructures. So
Mm.
it was out of this overwhelming issue that the
Mhm.
young people said, we think it's important that we raise awareness around waste management and by extension, climate change in the country. So
Uh-huh.
it was based on that context that they were motivated to develop what we call today the waste
Mm.
hunt game.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so can you walk us maybe through the concept of the waste hunt? How does the game actually work
Mm.
when played? For instance, what do players have to do in the game, and what learning do they maybe tend to achieve, or do they achieve at the end of the game?
So the game, first of all, starts from home and ends with
Uh-huh.
home. So it's starting from home, and the first home tells you it
It
is a
starts from
point.
home and
It
ends
starts from
home.
home and ends again at home. So it's home away from home and home to home. But what is the concept about it? The first home, that is the starting point, it's about saying this is a point where people have limited or no knowledge about climate change and waste management.
Mm,
And the last home, after
mm,
playing the game, it's you now having gone through the game, arriving home again, but now with sufficient or enough knowledge about
mm,
waste management and climate change.
mm.
So that is the first home and that is the last home. First home is a point of limited or no knowledge about waste management and climate change. And the
Uh-huh.
last home is
Mm,
now you having enough knowledge or improved knowledge about waste management and climate change. So
mm,
in between, you have to play the game. And
mm,
in between, there are different components within the game. You have some
mm,
component that speaks about education, climate change
mm,
education, and
mm,
there are also components that speaks about waste management, but there are
mm,
also fun components, and there are rewards and there are punishments.
mm,
So these are like actions that you do within the community that are not good for the environment, that are against climate change, or that are against waste management. So once you fall on those areas, you are being punished. But there are
mm.
also rewards. These are like when you take certain actions when playing the game, like maybe
Yeah,
drainage construction,
yeah.
like maybe using bags instead of plastic bags to go to the market,
Mm,
or like maybe properly disposing of your waste. You are rewarded for those little actions. But
mm,
again, there are funny actions like to make the game very entertaining, where you'll be asked to perform certain tasks, like maybe to sing your favorite song, or maybe to dance for the whole set of players, or maybe to jump 5 times. There are little tasks that is just entertaining. But along
mm,
the line, you have the
mm,
climate educational messages that gives you information about climate change that you have to read aloud and explain to your
mm,
opponents. For
mm.
instance, if there is a particular step on the board that says, do not burn your waste. So you will read
Mm.
that aloud so that the other
Mm.
players also learn about it, hear it, that do not burn your waste.
Yeah.
It pollutes the air. Then you now have the task of explaining it in your local language, what you understand from do not burn your waste. It
Mm.
pollutes the air. You explain it to others, and if they have questions, they ask you before the
Mm.
next person takes a turn. So the
Mm.
game is played, it's a board and card game with a
Mm.
die, but you can
Mm.
also play it with two dice,
Mm.
depending on the number of players. But you
Yeah.
have, most time we encourage a maximum of 4 players. So once you
Yeah.
take the die, you toss the die. Of course, you
Mm.
know the outcomes of a die. You can either have a 1, a 2, a 3 onto a 6. And there is the
Mm.
board. You have to move. Let's say you toss the die and the outcome is 4. So you will
Yeah.
have to move 4 spaces on the board.
Mm.
After moving 4 spaces on the board, on the fourth space, there is
Mm.
a requirement. There is an action that you will have to perform, or there is a task. So the
Yeah.
task might either be a punishment, it might either be an information about waste management, it might either
Yeah.
be an information about waste identification, or it might either be an information about climate change or any other task. So you have
Mm.
to perform that task
Mm.
before you move to the next step. But of
Mm.
course, after you having your toast, the
Yeah.
others will also have their rounds. And
Yeah.
there are some punishment that we say you have to wait 1 round. So others will have to have a
Mm.
second round before you can take the next round.
Ah.
So that
Ah.
is how it is. But basically, it's very interesting, and people have loved playing it along the way as we have been prototyping it.
Mm. Okay, so one last question on the game.
Mhm.
So what do you hope the players or participants will take away from the game? For example, after playing the waste hunt, do you want them to maybe start recycling more or maybe organizing more cleanups or even just to change their attitude about something like simple things like loitering? Um, Basically, what's the desired impact on the player or the participants or the community from the game?
Mm. So, part of our success story, even women, has been people making instant commitments towards waste management just after playing the game,
Mm,
because a game hinges hugely on climate change education. So
mm,
having gone through the whole game, you are so much empowered, you have so much information on what to do and what not to do with regards to waste management, waste identification, climate change, planting trees. So one
yeah.
of the core elements of the game is behavioral change. It's providing knowledge that leads to behavioral change. So after playing the game, you will see a lot of
Mm,
people making commitment that, I thought this was good, but now I know it's wrong. I need to change my way of doing things. So before they
yeah.
leave, you already have enough knowledge on what to do and what not to do when it comes to waste management, climate change, tree planting, which is the
Mm,
core element of the game. But
mm,
another element that we are still prototyping that we have not perfected yet is also how can we now link the game to income generation. So we want to ensure that after young people playing the game, they should have enough knowledge, but then this knowledge now should be translated into something that will generate income for them. That is the next
okay.
phase that we want to, yes, that we want to prototype.
Okay, yeah, because in itself, the gamification skill itself is well, if well marketized, can be well monetized.
Yes,
Okay.
yes.
So, yeah, so let us now take our conversation into another direction of more of the YMCA's impact and the youth empowerment angle.
Mm-hmm.
So, I want to kind of highlight the YMCA's role and perspective here.
Mm-hmm.
So the climate games of project, of course, is not happening in a vacuum. It aligns with the YMCA's broader mission and the broader Vision 2030.
Mm-hmm.
So how does this initiative fit into the YMCA Sierra Leone and also the YMCA Africa as a whole to what we are trying to achieve?
Okay.
And yeah, and to that, just a minute, to that, especially on the Vision 2030 pillars, which include the sustainable planet, which
Planet.
yeah,
Yeah.
which is a major, there's a major focus on that. And also I've seen some focus on the just world pillar. So it seems like the climate games as both the environmental sustainability and social justice for the youth. So can you talk to us about this intersection? For instance, how can improving climate literacy and action also help with youth justice and vice versa?
Yeah.
Mm,
Thank you so much, Raymond.
mm,
So everything else is connected to everything else. That is one thing that I would say. Everything else is connected to everything else. We are living in an interconnected world where nothing actually works in a vacuum.
yeah.
Everything is connected together. We are living in a very connected world. So when
Mm,
you look at the pillars, for instance, when you look at our strategic plan in Sierra
mm,
Leone, the Sierra Leone YMCA, it is
mm,
linked to the Sustainable Development Goals. It is
mm,
linked to Vision 2030, the
yeah.
Africa Alliance, the World Alliance Vision.
Mm,
It is also linked to the Y 3.0, the YMC, the Africa Alliance YMCA's vision, but it's
mm,
also linked to the Sierra Leone National Midterm Development Plan.
mm, mm,
So our strategic plan is tailored in such a way that it is linked to all those other plans that are out there. And
yeah.
core in it has
Mm,
to do with youth empowerment, but
mm,
it also has to do with environmental sustainability, where we
mm,
have the climate change unit or the disaster risk reduction unit. But
yeah.
also when you look at the World Alliance goals, I think it's
Mm,
supposed to be the third goal, which is the sustainable planet. I should be
yeah.
correct. I stand to be
Yeah.
correct. But I
Okay.
think so it's supposed to be the third goal, which has to do with
Mm,
sustainable planet. It also
mm,
fits directly into it. The climate change games fits directly into it. It
mm,
fits also into what we do here in the YMCA Sierra Leone, empowering young people, but also we have the disaster risk reduction unit, which also
yeah,
zoom into climate change related issues, but also with youth empowerment. But when you
mm,
also look at the AYMCA, this is even born out of them, the concept of gamification and climate change is
yeah,
born out of them. And
yeah,
you also look at the youth power space. In the youth
mm,
power space, it is that
mm,
space where you create the avenue for young people to discover themselves, but also
mm,
to solve community problems. So you
mm,
realize that all what we are doing fits
mm,
directly or connects directly to what World Alliance is doing. When you look at their third pillar, which has to do with
mm,
sustainable planet, you look
mm,
at us, which if you also look at our strategic plan, the fourth
mm,
pillar speaks
mm,
about environmental sustainability. But also
yeah,
when you look at the Africa Alliance, you also have the S to C, which fits into it. But now,
yeah,
also when it talks about a just world,
mm,
when you empower young people, like what we are saying, now we want to use games to raise awareness about climate change, but also to
mm,
ensure that in the end they are able to generate revenue from playing those games. Because from the
yeah,
knowledge that they are getting, that should transcend into them also being able to generate income opportunities
yeah,
for themselves. And
yeah,
if that happens, you are also empowering them because one of the main problem why young people are so vulnerable is because they don't have access to income. So if you
yeah,
are able to let them have access to income, they will be
mm,
self-reliant. And when they are self-reliant, they'll be able to make decisions on their own because most of the
mm,
time they are pushed to making decisions because they are very vulnerable.
mm,
Somebody somewhere would just say, I'm giving you $1, just go and do this thing for me. And because the
yeah,
person cannot even afford half a dollar, and somebody is saying, go and involve yourself in a certain action and I'll give you $1. Such a
yeah,
young person being very vulnerable will get him or herself involved into certain things. And that is why we see them involving into crime, a lot of things that they are doing today because they don't have access to income. But through these
mm,
games, they are able to innovate, but also create income generating opportunities for themselves, which is by
yeah,
extension creating a just world. But
mm,
also, when we are also preserving, because if everyone is developing climate games and those games are geared towards sustaining the
mm,
planet, then we are also having a just world. Because the just world is not only about us, but it's also
yeah,
about our environment. We have, don't forget, we have this symbiotic relationship that exists between us and the environment. We
yeah,
cannot
yeah,
survive without the environment, and the environment cannot survive without us. So when we
yeah,
are doing things geared towards preserving the environment, it is also
mm,
like saying we are working towards a just world, even though
yeah,
we are also working towards sustaining the planet.
yeah.
Yeah, thank you.
Awesome.
That is what I would say
So,
to that. Yeah.
okay, so from all that, I've discovered that I also know you have a very rich background in youth development and even security slash DDR work. So, from your viewpoint or from your point of view, why is it important for organizations like the YMCA, just an example,
Mm-hmm.
to champion climate action in this way, like, in the gamification kind of way? Some might think that climate change is purely an environmental issue, but what's the social impact angle that the YMCA is seeing?
It's not only an environmental issue. Climate change is not only about the environment, it is about us. Let us don't
Mm,
forget that we have like I stated earlier, we have a direct relationship with our environment. And
mm,
let's say, for instance, we have rising temperature.
mm,
When the atmosphere is so warm, it's so hot, who dares
mm.
go outside to sell or to do your normal work? It becomes very difficult.
Very
You
hard,
become
yeah.
so restless, the animals become restless, human beings themselves becomes restless. And then
Yeah.
you are left with no option than to either switch on ACs or to switch on fans, and that also consumes a lot of energy. And for those
Mm,
who don't have that, it also
mm,
becomes very disturbing. You are not able to
yeah.
walk, you are not able to function well, and you
Yeah.
sap out a lot of energy when the atmosphere is really warm. And when the atmosphere is warm, what happens? There is also the icebergs at the polar regions melting. And when the
Mm,
icebergs melt, what happens? You have sea level rise. And when sea level rises, what happens? You have land degradation. And when land degrades, what happens? You have our plants not doing well. And when rain comes at time when rain should not come, what happens? agriculture is suffering. And when agriculture suffers, what happens? There is no food. And when there is no food, what happens? There is hunger. And when there is hunger, what happens? Increase in crime. So you see, it
Yeah.
goes in and in and in and in and in and in and in. So
Mm,
you cannot just say it's an environmental issue, but it's it's a human life, it's a life-threatening issue as well. Today we are
yeah.
talking about food shortage. One of the main
Mm,
reasons for food shortage is because of
mm,
climate change.
yeah.
The excessive sun, what happens makes the land so dried up and there is drought.
Mm,
Plants don't do well. All the
yeah.
plants are dying. But
Yeah.
also there is excessive rain. What happens? There is flooding.
Yeah.
When there is flooding, what happens? It also kills the plant. The plant also don't do
Yeah.
well. And
Yeah.
food is a major component of our world today.
Of
So
course.
it's important. It's not only, and what happens again, in fact, there is high crime rate because we are also implementing a
Mm,
project with YUSA that looks at mental health issue, climate change and mental
mm,
health. We are also having a project with them. So what
mm,
happens? You have a lot of young people whose
mm.
properties or whose farmland has been destroyed, which is their
Mm,
means of livelihood, as a result of
yeah.
climate change. And
Yeah.
these young people now have
Mm,
no source of income. Why?
yeah.
Because the farm that they used to go to, or their farm
Mm,
implements, or their seedlings have been
yeah.
destroyed because of
Yeah.
what? Climate change, because of heavy downpour of rain. Or
Mm,
somebody that has planted on 1 hectare land just because of heavy sun ray, all what
mm,
he or she has planted has dried up, has died, and there is little or no yield or productivity. And that person
yeah.
runs into debt.
Mm,
And so you begin to see that it's knocking out technically people out of business. It is also even shifting people into more poverty. So
yeah.
it's so important. It's not only an
Mm,
environmental
mm,
issue, but it's a
yeah.
social issue too.
Okay.
Yeah.
So, winding up on this conversation on impact and the youth empowerment angle,
Mm-hmm.
uh, let us talk about partnerships and support, because
Mm-hmm.
a very big project. And you, like, we can say as the YMCU being the initiator, you definitely need support and partnership for this thing to be a success. So, and definitely initiatives like this drive on collaboration. So,
Yeah.
who are you working with, and or maybe who would you like to work with? For example, are you partnering with schools, maybe a local environmental NGO, or even maybe government agencies to roll out these games? And
Mm-hmm.
have you had any interest from various sectors in the Sierra Leone so far?
In terms of partnership, we do partner with the National Disaster Management Agency of Sierra Leone, and
Mm.
sometimes we also work with the with UNDP. Well, not all the time, but sometimes with UNDP.
With
But we
who?
work
Pardon?
UNDP, United Nations
Oh, okay.
Development Program. Yeah, not
Okay.
all the time, but sometimes. But most
Mm.
times we work with the National Disaster Management Agency, which
Mm-hmm.
is the agency under which we operate. And
Mm.
we have, in the next phase, tried to see how we can work with local councils. We have not started working with local councils yet, but that is
Mm.
what we aim to do in the next phase to ensure that we work with local
Mm.
councils so that they
Mm.
also have a buy-in. But so
Mm.
far, we have the main stakeholders that we have been working with are young people and
Mm.
community leaders, because
Mm.
that is where we have tested the games mainly with young
Yeah.
people and with community stakeholders, just so that we have a holistic buy-in.
Yeah.
But once the game continues to develop, the more
Mm.
we take them out to other
Mm.
stakeholders that we think might be very interested in them.
Okay, nice.
Yeah.
And so that is on a national level. So at the Africa Alliance level, how are the different countries in the OMC working together in the climate games? Do you guys exchange game ideas or maybe send to each other maybe events? Like something I saw you do with YMCA Liberia, which sounded like some very good collaborative work. So, yeah, what is happening at the regional or the Africa Alliance level?
Yeah. So like you stated, Raymond, in fact, this one was developed together with the YMCA of Liberia, which shows we are working at regional level. But of course,
Mm,
we are all united again by the alliance. So
Yeah.
all of our work fits into the alliance, and every one
Mm,
of us communicate to the alliance what we are doing, and the
mm,
alliance also sometimes communicates
mm,
to all of us what others are doing. But we
mm.
also meet on regular intervals to share our games so that everybody
Yeah.
knows what is happening in Zimbabwe, what is happening in Sierra Leone, what is happening
Mm,
in Namibia, and other
yeah.
areas that the games are currently being tested. So there is also this
Mm,
continental connection at the African level.
yeah. Nice. So before we now wrap up, as we are concluding, I want to get a bit personal. So
Mm.
you've been in the YMCA for quite a while, and you are passionate about the YMCA and also passionate about empowerment of the youth. So what motivates you personally to do this work, especially with the climate games? And what message would you like to leave to the young people who might maybe feel overwhelmed by the climate change things and the climate action stuff going on?
Thank you so much. I am a young person too.
Mm,
So I feel connected to every other young person that is out there
mm,
because whatever the case may be, I have been in their position at some point before becoming what I am today. And
yeah.
so, one, I feel a sense of giving back to the community, but also to
Mm,
support other young people to
mm,
also become better and productive, to
mm,
challenge them to change their world.
mm,
When it comes to climate change related issue, my strong
mm,
message to them would be climate change is a connected issue. We are all connected to it. And
yeah.
so each and everybody's effort counts. Don't
Mm,
just say there is climate change, but also the next thing should be how can I contribute to solving the problem
mm,
that we are in already? Should I plant
mm,
a tree? Should I
mm,
stop littering around? Should I
yeah.
stop buying plastics? What should
Mm,
I do? Should I stop throwing dirt along the way? Should I manage my waste well? Either ways, we all have a role to play. And I
yeah.
will zero down and saying, as a young person, you have to be committed, you have to be
Mm,
focused because there are a lot of distractions out there,
mm,
but you
mm,
have to be a purpose-driven young person. You should
yeah.
know what you want and go for what you want. It doesn't mean it's going to be very easy. No, it's never going to be
Mm,
easy, but with
yes.
determination, with passion, with focus, but with
Mm,
also good morals, you will always be able to achieve what you want to achieve. Because a lot of
mm,
people lack good morals, a lot of people lack purpose, they lack vision, they don't even know
mm,
what they want. If you ask
mm,
them now, what do you want? They are in limbo, they don't know. So my message to them would be committed, be
mm,
passionate, be
mm,
focus driven, but
mm,
also don't forget to move along with morals, with good morals that society beholds. And
yeah.
then the
Mhm.
sky, beyond the sky will be your limit.
Yeah.
Raymond, that is what I would say.
Okay, nice. Thank you.
You're very
Um,
welcome, Raymond.
I've just remembered something. I think it's a proverb to do with something to do with morals, corrupting something. Yeah, research it,
Evil
but yeah.
morals corrupt good communications or something like that. Evil communication corrupt good manners. It is actually evil communication corrupt good manners.
Okay, nice one. So
Yeah,
thank you for the time. It was really I
you're
enjoyed
very
the
welcome.
conversation.
Yeah.
I even now I feel I know more about the climate games than I even
Uh,
knew before we started the conversation, but it was good.
yeah.
And yeah, thank you for your time and adios. We'll meet again.
Yeah, of course, we'll definitely meet again. And I know the next meet will be in the studio. Thank you so
Yeah,
much,
yeah, of
Raymond.
course.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.